Wherever you are, make it TRH.
Truth Frequency Radio.
The Rundown, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Check out therundownlive.com.
Attention host. The system microphone will be live in 3, 2, 1.
9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Check out therundownlive.com.
What up, guys? We are live here. It is Wednesday, January 20th, live here on the Rundown Live, rundownlive.com. Mike Pachesny, Kristan Harris, and we have a guest tonight, Kristan, don't we?
Sure do. Popeye's joining us, and not the cartoon ga Popeye, but actually Popeye from Down the Rabbit Hole. Good friend of ours, has been on our show a handful of times. Always an interesting conversation with Popeye. We're really excited to have him on tonight. For you listeners out there who haven't heard Popeye or don't tune in to catch him, great radio show host. Should be a great conversation.
Yeah, not only is he a friend, but he's also a brother on Truth Frequency. You know, he's always doing his broadcast.
And he's kind of part of the reason why we're on Truth Frequency. You know, he really let us know about Truth Frequency and, you know, kind of opened the door there a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely been a great help, and he's been a good friend on and behind the scenes. You know what I mean? It's like on the air and as just a friend, you know what I mean?
Because he's a good person all around. He's always interested in conversation.
It's hard to talk to people about this kind of stuff because, you know, we stay really busy and not a lot of people understand it unless they're really going through the workload of running the website, YouTube channels, broadcasting, making graphics, all the stuff that goes into, you know, having production like this and not having a crew of people to help you do it. That's another thing. So you only got a couple guys, like it's just me and you, Kristan. Popeye, he's only had a couple guys helping him out. Now it's pretty much just him. So, I mean, it really, it takes a toll on you, and it's like sometimes you just gotta, you know, relax and have some time to yourself sometimes.
I describe our relationship with Popeye pretty bromantic. So
yeah, it's a bromance, that's for sure.
Definitely a bromance. But
I don't know, Kev Baker's trying to get between us lately.
Oh, you know what's interesting is Kev invited us on his show, and we're going to be on his show next Wednesday.
I told you, they're trying to, you know, something's going on.
We're going to be cheating on Popeye here. He's going to be upset here. But real quick,
oh, go ahead, yeah.
Before we get into things, I wanted to mention a few stories. Did you see that cops are now giving you tickets for starting up your car in the cold and leaving it running? So let's say
I've
like
actually
in Wisconsin,
seen that.
it's like 30 below, and you go and you go heat up your car. You might get a $125 ticket.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that for a while now. They've been
That's ridiculous.
doing stuff like that.
Breaking in your car and to remind you that
I
somebody
think
else
it's just
could break
to
into your
scare
car.
people. I don't know how many tickets they actually give out because most of the police that are going to like gas stations and stuff
This
are
one cop said they
getting
gave out like
coffee
6
and
or
donuts.
9 in a day. That's a lot. That's revenue generating. That's $1,000.
I was at the gas station yesterday and there's like 3 or 4 cars all just running with no one in them.
I think that's where the police should hang out. Then they can write tickets all day.
It's kind of ridiculous though.
Well, it really is. Should somebody come onto your private property? And that's the question. Are the cops going on people's private property, or are these only, let's say, at like Pick and Save or another area?
No, the cops are going all up on private property. I saw a guy getting pulled over at McDonald's the other day.
Really? Was he in a drive-thru?
Yeah, he was in the drive-thru, and the cop just, you know, was probably in the drive-thru, ran his plates, and decided just to pull him over there at McDonald's.
Was that before or after he said, "I'll buy the guy behind me a meal"?
Even though it's a public place, it's a slippery slope. You know, you're at
It's
a
like
business.
getting a ticket in the Walmart parking lot for running a stop sign. It's on private property, but can the cop
or at like
enforce
the
it?
mall, right?
So
Technically, that's a private roadway, but also technically, as a licensed driver, you're supposed to follow the rules of the road.
follow the law. Follow
the rules of the road, Kristan.
Yeah, well,
You're out there now. You got to
When
watch
you
out.
follow the rules, you see what happens.
You guys
And
got to
could
watch out. You might see Kristan coming right at you.
I mean, look at the people in Flint. I bet you they all switched to city water and they followed the rules, and now they're still hurting on water. But they got that brand new $600 million Red Wings stadium ready to go that voters voted for. So who needs water? We got hockey.
I saw my local city here of Racine was actually shipping water over to the Flint area.
See, I'm kind of half-hearted on this. I really don't think we should ship water to them. I think that.
Well, you
they've had
want them
a lot
just to not have water?
No, I want them to change their government and make a difference. If we ship them water, are they going to really pursue change and actually try to overthrow these corrupt people who are responsible for these events, or are they going to keep voting
Sometimes
them in?
it's okay just to help people. There doesn't have
I'm
to
all
be
about
some.
helping people, but again, they did vote to have a $600 million Detroit Red Wings stadium.
Did
instead
they
of having
really,
water.
though? I mean, did they really? Is that really what the people
I'm sure it
wanted?
wasn't on the ballot as such. Would you rather have water or the Red Wings? If
Right.
they did, I'm sure water would win, but that's the illusion that
It's
they
the
have.
old Lisa needs braces, dental plan. Lisa needs braces, dental plan. Instead, they choose the keg of beer.
Right? Well, I mean, that's what it comes down to is bad choices. And, I like to help people. I'm all about that, but if they don't really force, it's been, a year now? If they haven't forced and tried to vote some of these people out or called for jobs to get rid of the individuals responsible, giving them water is just going to make them complacent and a victim. Instead of being a victim, they need to go in there and get rid of these people that made bad decisions. And, again...
The bad thing is the corrupt politicians are entrenched in these government positions, and that's why they're there. They're there to corrupt the people, and they're basically backstabbing them. But no matter what, there'll be a new corrupt politician to fill their spot. Don't doubt that.
Well, look at our hometown hero, quote unquote, Paul Ryan, who everyone thought was a Tea Party conservative. But a lot of people that were sounding the alarm, like me and Mike and other people in the Tea Party and libertarian esque Republicans, were saying this guy doesn't vote conservative at all. He's going to be John Boehner 2.0, and so far all he's done is prove us right. So again, it's one of those.
It's all
things,
fake. It's all fake,
You
Kristan.
need to make a difference. I don't understand how they can
Give the
turn on
people some
water. Isn't
water.
water a right to life?
Give the people some water. It's all fake. That's what I
we
got
got
to say.
energy
We
assist-
should. We got to talk about the site real quick before we bring Popeye on.
All right, guys. If you haven't had a chance to yet, and if you want to learn more about this, I'm going to be definitely writing a story about cars warming up and maybe some water stories. Who knows? Anyways, check out the rundownlive.com, our website. It's awesome. We have new information up there every day. Please share our articles. I can't stress how important this is to us right now. Facebook has us tied up in the evil spider web of algorithms and is refusing to really share our articles. In fact, when I posted our relevant articles on my own Facebook, they said that I was posting from dangerous sites, Mike. So you guys go to the rundownlive.com, share the information. If you hear a topic tonight and you don't know what it is or what it means, you can always go to our website and check out our search bar. Anything you type in there, Bilderberg, Council of Foreign Relations, Police State, whatever the topic is and you're not sure about, you can find it on the rundownlive.com. Also, if you have a cell phone or tablet, download the rundownlive.com app. It's free. It helps us out. It helps get information out and helps educate you, the listener, at your convenience, because not everyone can catch us live at 8 p.m. Let's not lie. We're competing probably with Denver sports and Denver college sports and everywhere else, as well as here in Wisconsin. And, if we're competing with some of these things on random nights, you may miss a show or two. We have great guests, and you can almost find our whole encyclopedia of shows on the rundownlive.com app, as well as bonus feature. We put out a lot of really awesome stuff, and if you haven't seen it, get the app. It's free. Android App Store, iTunes App Store, Amazon.com, Windows. We're also on Spreaker, Stitcher, and many, many other platforms. We're on a plethora of different sites. Also, we're now on your local TV. If you got the local boob tube and it's a smart one, check out Amazon Prime or Roku. We're on there. Check out the Conspiracy Channel. I saw they finished their site this week, Mike, and they're advertising us right on their front page. So pretty cool. Thanks to the guys over at Conspiracy TV for making that happen. We're getting like a ridiculous number of hits. We're almost over 100,000 views in just 3 or 4 weeks. That's incredible, guys. Also,
I didn't know how many people actually used Roku. Don't forget about private internet access as well if you guys want to help us out.
I saw that a lot of people have been checking that out on our website. Check out private internet access. It allows you to surf the internet anonymously, and it's a way for you guys to support us. Make a purchase there. We get a large portion of that, and it allows you to surf the internet anonymously and use Netflix, I guess, apparently.
Yeah, except for now your Netflix account is on the deep web. They're, trading it, basically.
Well, yeah, that or your Uber account.
But right? I suppose, that's good enough. We're plugged. We're plugged, Kristan.
Yep, definitely. I want to say thank you to the guys over at Truth Frequency Radio. Of course, Chris Gio, Denver 90.7 FM, and Eugene, Oregon 97.3. You guys out there rock. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Tell your friends to tune in and check it out and share the links. Find us on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, guys.
Popeye, it's been a while since we had you on. It's always too long, it seems. Like, even though we talk to each other all the time, we don't get each other on the air enough. We should be hanging out more, bro.
Yeah, we want a little more bromance here.
Well, that's also kind of my fault. Last year, I took a lot of time off in order to kind of get the Battleship DTRH AJ squared away and back to 100% capacity after what I went through the previous year, at the end of the previous year. So now that I'm back to 110% capacity, this year will be a little different. We'll be more hanging out more. We'll be back on each other's shows more, and I have a feeling 2016 is going to be an interesting year, to say the least, gentlemen. So yeah, thanks for having me back on, boys.
Yeah, no problem. It's always just like hanging out. I didn't even know what we were going to talk about tonight, but it really doesn't matter because we're just hanging out.
Who cares?
That's
Open the lines.
The greatest thing.
Let's hear it.
I mean,
Right.
I feel like there's no pressure with Popeye. Sometimes you have some guests on, and you want to have like all these questions prepared. And
Well, not everyone is radio friendly either. Somebody may have written a good book or maybe funny on TV, but they're not very personable on air. Or you caught them at a bad time. Let's face it. Some people just have bad days. They have relationships.
I have a
with
lot
people
of
that-
bad days.
At least lately, Mike.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But that's what happens. You still got to just keep at it. I think that's the point.
Have you been in Facebook jail lately, Popeye? Because I've been like in prison for a month and a half now.
No, I haven't been in Facebook jail. Although for most of last year, I had the weirdest issue. I could not share to groups. Like I could share to a page, but I couldn't share to groups. I would go.
That's
to like
the issue I'm having.
And you type in the group name, and it doesn't even come up, right?
Well, it does not, and if it does, and I post on it, it says that I cannot post on this group, and even though I'm an admin of it, and basically Facebook has banned me, and I asked them probably about 15 or 20 times what policy I violated, and finally they got back to me, and they just said, oh, thanks for the information. That's it, basically. So I don't know what's going on, but I think it's specific to the content that we aggregate, so...
I wonder. Facebook is Facebook.
It's such a trap, isn't it?
Dude, all they got to do it after I got blocked last year for a period of time. I got put in Facebook jail, and when I got released, like things didn't work. Messaging didn't work for a while. It didn't work for a period of time. It like just wouldn't work. Like I would be in the middle of messaging somebody, and it would stop, and it was sporadic. So, like, I could be talking to you, Mike, and you, Kristan, and it would suddenly stop working with you, but I could message Kristan.
How bizarre.
It's just how they can control things. It just makes you wonder, like, what did you post? Because I know what I was posting stuff at the time that pissed them off, and I had to go back and deal with that, which I effectively took care of, but what were you posting at the time of your censorship by the man?
The first time I got censored, I was sharing a Skull and Bones video I put out. I've been putting out those nifty little in 7-minute segments. I don't know if you caught any of those, Popeye. But I've been putting a little time into those, and they've been getting a lot of views. And specifically, that one got me banned. And after that 30 days, I started sharing articles, posting maybe about 30. I'm part of about 700 groups. I'm admin of about 30. And so I post a lot. I post maybe, 80, 90
Kristan's
times
what we
a day.
call a spammer.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. Groups have admins. So if you're spamming and they don't like what you're posting, they have the right to remove you. Why is Facebook doing the job for the frickin' admin? It's not their job unless they're trying to control the content that they're seeing. And it isn't that we spam. I'm not spamming if I'm not selling anything and I'm not posting the same article 20 times in a row. That's spamming. I post once in a relevant group.
You're trying to counteract their
irrelevant.
Algorithm, and they don't like that. See,
which
you're
I have been doing
challenging
pretty
the
good.
status quo.
Yep.
And when you make comments on the stories and do things like that, and it challenges the algorithm, they don't like that.
And I think that's what it's coming down to, is the fact that we're aggregating information, and they don't like that we're finding different ways to get around their algorithms, which, by the way, we did get away with, and we learned that we could change our viewership, or people who actually saw our articles. Let me express this to our listener audience. A lot of people still don't know, if you post something on your Facebook, not all your friends see it. It doesn't show up in their feed. They stopped that about a couple years ago, maybe about 2 or 3 years ago.
You reach about 7% of your audience.
Exactly. And what we found out is if we post and we share and we comment once, it increases our potential from, let's say, maybe 100 people would have seen it to about 10,000 people seeing it, just by placing one comment under there, whether it be, hey guys, check this out, what do you guys think, whatever it might be. And it was beating their algorithms and really helping us grow quite swiftly. And I'm just being honest with our listeners. But what happened now is they've caught on, and they're really trying to censor what we're doing. And obviously, much like the T-Rex in Jurassic Park, I'm checking out the...
Well, see, the problem with all this I see is I don't know how much it's a target of the content.
Well, I'm not violating any Facebook policy.
I feel like there's two different things going on here with these Facebook bans. With what you're talking about, there's direct relation to sharing and actions on Facebook. With my Facebook ban, I literally didn't even do anything.
You did nothing.
So that's where I'm looking at this like, okay, one is clearly being targeted, where another is, you're looking at actions, and computers are analyzing this stuff, and they're basically picking you up. You're being red flagged as basically a bot or something, and they're just, disabling your sharing, thinking that you're talking about Ray-Bans or something.
Well, that's what it comes down to. So basically, to our listeners out there, if you comment on any of our posts, that means a ton more people will see it just because it's active. So if you haven't yet, make sure you guys do that, and on Popeyes as well. So
Kristan's just fishing for comments, Popeye. That's all.
The censorship.
That's all he's looking for.
Big Brother is getting out of hand, though. I mean, now they want to make sure that your car is locked up. They're opening up cars or leaving tickets inside. All this weird, bizarre metadata collection for just about everything you do, Popeye. And they're using it to give you citizen ratings, Popeye. Have you heard about this?
How is that not, your collective threat score, how is that not illegal that they just, the door was unlocked, so? Where in the law does it say, if the door is unlocked, feel free to go in it? I don't recall that being the law. I recall violating someone's personal property that's not yours is violation of their personal property that's not yours. I think it's pretty cut and dry, but I guess that fancy gang outfit that they wear lets them get away.
They even went as far as to take your stuff out to teach you a lesson. We'll take your iPad or your laptop, and you'll have to come down to the police station and fill out a form and say, I left my doors unlocked.
And when I wrote that, people thought it was satire.
What would happen if you did that when you walked up to like the 7-Eleven and the cop's car is running with the window down?
You're like pushing the shotgun release, like, well, you left your doors open, so
it happened. Cops have left their rifle on the back of the car, or their shotgun, or it open or whatever, and somebody came by and ganked it out of there. I mean, these people, these laws are insane. It's not even a law. They're just violating. They're violating all sorts of things. I mean, I'm sure there's some sort of statute or something or some rule. some bullshit bureaucratic thing that they put out, but that really can't be legal. I mean, I don't know how they're getting away. There's got to be some local activist. I know how they're getting away with it because nobody challenges it. There has to be somebody that has the balls to stand up to this, and more people need to start doing this. More people need to start like challenging try to get together, maybe crowdfund in your local area and get enough money together so that you could pick a local thing that even if you have to get an attorney or whatever, you can find someone that'll be willing to help you and start doing these lawsuits and taking people to task for it.
Well, you're right, Papa, because what happened when that story went major viral and everybody reported on the gotcha story, which was the police coming in the cars, they disbanded the program because so many people were complaining because they found out about it.
Well, dude, that's what people need to do. People need to get pissed off. The Red Flex cameras, right? Remember back in the day, 4409, the old Ron Paul group? I think it was Arizona.
The YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, and then they had a YouTube channel, 4409. I think they still do. The guy did like a radio show for a while somewhere, I think, on Blog Talk or whatever, or a podcast. But they did it that's like old school activism right there, that group. And they went after the speed cameras, the red light cameras rather. And they got that company thrown out of, I think it was the Arizona, wherever is where they are. And they got them thrown out of there. And other states and other activist groups have followed suit since and done the same thing.
I think that's what you got to do to actually make change. Speaking of old school activism, I was driving today and this guy was getting all close to me on my right side. He actually passed me on my right and he got in front of me. And I think what he was trying to do is show me his bumper stickers because for those that know me, I have a few stickers on the back of my car.
Block, Ron Paul, Oath Keepers, right?
No, I have InfoWars and Rundown Live.
No Ron Paul.
No, I have Ron Paul still. And Truth Frequency as well. But he got in front of me, and you know what he had? He had a 9/11 sticker that's Architects and Engineers.
Did you honk twice?
No, I didn't honk because there were some other questionable stickers on there. But I was like, at least he's got the pro 9/11 investigation on there.
Uber conservative, is that what you're saying?
No, he was actually a liberal. He had very
zeitgeist fan,
liberal, anti-Walker, that kind of vibe going on with the whole kind of left-wing activism. But that's cool. If you question 9/11 and you're left-wing,
you're open-minded.
That's perfectly fine with me. I mean, you're open to your ideals, whatever. You have your own opinions. I think most political nonsense is garbage at this point anyway. So,
well, I don't know, Popeye. What do you think about the recent political circus with the president of the United States election coming up? It seems like we have a whole year yet, and they're already trying to eliminate people, and it shows how rigged the whole system is.
Vote for Yourself 2016. I actually put it out there when I did a show with Ken last week about this, that people should get involved and make memes, and I've gotten responses in my email. I've gotten so many email. I get a bunch of emails each day, and I've gotten so many responses. I have to sit down and just sort through them. It's a bit overwhelming sometimes with all the stuff that you do. It's for a bunch of guys like all of us, all the different hosts and stuff, that none of us get paid for this. We all do it free. It's amazing how much we actually do. And how much you have to learn to do video editing and all that stuff to get all this information out. Anyway, we were just talking about this, and I threw it out there. I said everybody should just vote for themselves. Just write their own name in. That's how everybody should vote. Now, can you imagine if a third of the country did that? They wouldn't have enough votes to pull off their little shenanigans, their little charade. It would come crumbling down around their ears that fast. And all it would take would be people voting for themselves, and enough people knowing that they did to know that the numbers that they would come out with would be absolute bullshit and would prove that the election was rigged. And there'd be enough people to make a big deal out of it that it would make a change. Whether, what would come from it, I can't tell you, but it wouldn't be the same as it is now, and it would definitely show. And I know people are like, oh, well, that's just some fantasy, that's some utopian fantasy, it'll never happen. Well, yeah, it won't happen if you have that attitude, because you're not even going to realize it at all. You're not going to, and by not realizing it, you're not putting any effort and intent out into the universe to actually do it. You're just sitting back and making an excuse for shooting yourself in the foot right off the bat. and we shouldn't be doing that. We actually have to put out the intent to actually change the world. That's what I mean when I say be the change. So it's tattooed on my neck. We actually have to put that vibratory frequency out there by actually...
Which is a painful spot for a tattoo.
By the way, we didn't even know what Popeye looked like till about a year ago. He used to have a meme. He's like, I don't want anyone to know what I look like. Remember that, Popeye? You're that whole persona going on.
Oh, I was very secretive about that. And I just started releasing slowly, like, real images of me. I was,
Are they, though? Are they really real images?
Which proved to be a mistake on Hangar 18.
Uh-oh.
Exactly. And the meme wars of TFR, where we're all veterans and we all have scars from the Photoshop.
Did you see the latest?
Did anyone make fun of us? No one makes fun of us.
Well, you saw the latest one that Scott made, didn't you, last night?
That was great.
I was getting arrested by the Facebook police.
Oh, yeah, I did see that one. That was funny. Definitely.
I mean, this kid and his photoshops are so epic sometimes. That one of you guys in the station wagon floating through space. That's one of my favorite photoshops of all time.
The Back to the Future one was pretty good too.
Oh, the one with Joe and I in the family truckster. Oh man, that thing kills me. You know, Scott told me he put I think it was 6 hours into that thing because he had to he took the wheels from the Back to the Future car. He took the family truckster from National Lampoon's Vacation, and he cleared everything out of it to make it a transparent image to then put Joe and I in the car flying through outer space.
And the wheels are literally turned.
Back to the Future.
Yeah, so they look like
he took that. He photoshopped those out of a picture of the Back to the Future car. He actually went in and took each piece that he needed systematically and very clean too. He's a Photoshop assassin. Scotty is there's just mad props. I give him the samurai bow.
I swear I felt like El Chapo. That's what happened. The Facebook feds came after me, and I was hiding. I was hiding, Popeye. But now I've returned.
Oh no, we're getting cut off, guys. We'll be back from the break here with Popeye from Down the Rabbit Hole. Great guest. Tune in. Tell your friends to tune in to the rundownlive.com right now. Get in the chat /live. Chat with us.
The system microphone is now muted for break.
Frequency Radio. On November 5th, TFR will be 6 years old, and with every anniversary, this is a time for great reflection. As an avid listener of talk radio myself,
I'll be right back, boys.
I got sick and tired of
to
listening
run outside
to
for two smokes.
the sole
Right
purpose
back.
of trying to sell me snake oil. When I found out that the hosts are actually contractually obligated to disguise advertisements in the form of their news stories, I knew that I couldn't trust alternative media any more than the mainstream. That's when I knew I had to build TFR as an ad-free and 100% listener-supported station. My personal promise to you is that when you listen to TFR, you'll always be able to trust what you hear. You can be part of this media paradigm shift right now by becoming a TFR supporter today and letting the corporate-controlled media know that the message is far too important to dilute in hidden advertisements and hidden agendas. Together, we are TFR, your protection from deception.
As the world and time progresses at the speed of advancing technology, another all too vital craft is left in the shadows of ancient relics, with little to no sign of its majestic use and purpose. The Keymaker sequel is an innovative spiritual revival designed to awake and unlock the cosmos within by restoring the codes and commands of a vast organic mainframe that encompasses both Earth and your own personal universe. Join your host, Seven Bomar, creator of the world-renowned platforms Astral Quest and Secret Energy, for an amazing adventure in uncovering life's greatest secrets that transcend beyond time and space. Tune in and listen live every Saturday at 5 p.m. Pacific on Truth Frequency Radio.
Visualize an infinite hologram of unconditional love above your head. This is a holographic sphere with the flower of life pattern infinitely expanding inwardly to infinity.
The all-new Sacred Geometry Shop has arrived, featuring 8 of the world's most renowned sacred geometry and visionary artists. The mission of SGS is to embed sacred geometry art, frequencies, and equations into all conventional products in order to raise the vibration and help heal one's own individual life. Products include art, canvas prints, skateboards, Galaxy and iPhone cases, clothing, hats, jewelry, home decor, yoga mats, and a new sacred geometry skincare line. Enter the word STARSEED for an additional 25% discount. Log on today to sacredgeometryshop.com and feel the vibration.
Freaky Friday with the Wool Crew. Fridays on
I'm
Truth
back.
Frequency Radio.
Attention host. The system microphone will be live in 3, 2, 1.
Mike P. Kriston H. The Rundown, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Check out therundownlive.com.
The rundown.
We're here hanging out with our friend Popeye, Rundown Live, Truth Frequency Radio, or as we call him behind the scenes, Dr. P.
Dr. P. Hey, Dr. P, I got to ask you, what's your thought on alternative media as of late? Have you noticed that there's it seems like hundreds of websites just popping up out of nowhere and people are aggregating that stuff and it's getting a lot of attention. These websites have bizarre names. It's almost like every campaign that's a presidential campaign has their own 20 or 30 blogs that they originated and are sharing stuff.
Well, yeah, the alternative media to a large degree has become an echo chamber. I saw that coming a while ago, and I've kind of I pulled myself out of it. And I'm not bashing anybody. It's just an observation from my part. It's kind of become an echo chamber where 1 or 2 people, perhaps 5 people, will put out an article, and then it gets aggregated. And just so people know, the mainstream media does this. This is how the same story will get aggregated, over 10 or 15 different agencies. They have an automated piece of software, which I'm actually going to get I'm going to be getting a hacker on to talk about this. It's and I forget the name of it, but it's an automated piece of software, and basically you can, most of these stories are being written by this computer. It'll pull, somebody will write an article, and it'll go, the software will scan the article, and it'll pull things out of the article, and then kind of reword it a little bit here and there, put it together, and then publish it. And then that will it'll get picked up, and then that'll get spread out as an article, as if it was written by somebody. And then the alternative media ends up picking up what the mainstream media, which that's one example of how it's crap, and we already know how the rest of it, even if it's live, is garbage. Then the alternative media picks up on whatever the mainstream media is putting out and responds to it. And it's become a cycle. It's become this cycle where we used to break the news, and for the things we used to talk about, they never talked about at all. In fact, the alternative media over the years has forced the mainstream to change their narrative, right? Well, now they figured out how to control us. Once they realized that we were a serious threat, they figured out how to control us. And there's this cycle where the mainstream media has their cycle, and then the quote alternative media responds to the mainstream media. Whether it's their coverage, the way they're handling it, a story that they're talking about, the dialogue, not everyone, but the dialogue, largely in part, has been changed. It's been controlled. It's been turned into a response. It's more so no longer people doing original investigative reporting. It's people coming out with just responses. And when I say a response, I mean some of them are valid and they're good points, but it's these arguments and these things are being put forward to get people to focus on that. And it's like if you want to distract somebody, if you want to keep them busy, they're doing it perfectly. And it's unfortunate because it's happened very gradually. If it happened really fast, I think the alternative media would have picked up on it. But it's happened where they've monitor us, they pay attention to us, and just like any military operation, they adapt to what's going on, and they've adapted to us well because they know how to manipulate us. And we need to. It's not a critique of me bashing people. It's a critique. It's a fair critique, and it's coming from a point of I'm just pointing this out because, well, A, you asked me, but B, if I point this out, we can learn from it. Others can look at it and say, hey, maybe he's right. We can adjust. We have to adapt. This is an ongoing, ever-changing battlefield, so to speak. And just like you would adapt in a battlefield situation, you have to be able to adapt in this type of battlefield. This battle of information and waking people up and trying to wake humanity up. And we have to adapt to how they've adapted. I mean, it's an ongoing game. It's like a dance. And, they're doing their thing. We have to be aware of that and understand that. So I hope that wasn't too long-winded.
I have to agree with you, Popeye. I think that you've lost a lot of the cutting edge from the alternative media, even when it comes to the giants out there like InfoWars. You don't see them talking about things that are 10 years in the future too often anymore, and things that people haven't heard of. If it's chemtrails or vaccines, it seems like the mainstream media is starting to cover this more so they can twist it their way. Before they wouldn't cover it at all, and so we've forced this conversation into the mainstream, but they've been really trying to infiltrate and use it to their advantage.
Well, they realize we forced them to change their narrative. I mean, they used to laugh at us. They didn't report about this stuff. I remember, you guys have been around long enough. Mikey, I know you've been involved with, We Are Changing stuff for a long enough period of time. You remember when we used to do DVD handouts and all that stuff? The mainstream media wouldn't even take, the topic of a new world order, quote unquote, or a one world type government, or any of that, or even economic collapse. They wouldn't even take economic collapse or recession/depression, whatever you want to call it, seriously. They wouldn't take anything that we talked about seriously. They never would have talked about these emails with Clinton or all the shady crap that went on with Benghazi and running guns to Syria and funding Al-Qaeda and all this other stuff. If you had said funding Al-Qaeda or /ISIS, whatever the name of the week is, if you had said funding whatever faux terror organization that they use, they would have laughed at you. They would have said, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. And they still kind of use that pejorative, but they've actually overused it to the point where the people don't even buy that shit anymore. They
look into it if they use that term.
Well, exactly, because they're like, well, why would they say that? Why would they bash them? Why would they? They start to, it's to the point where their stuff is very transparent. And they realize that to a large degree too, and they're adapting. Again, they know how to manipulate to a certain extent, so we have to be wary of that. If we can adapt to them, we can punch through it. We made them change the narrative to begin with. They never talked about this stuff. Now they actually have to talk about the things that we talk about. They actually have to respond to things in the alternative.
It's a slippery slope, though. I think you're right, Popeye, because
absolutely.
You almost have to have credibility. When you're in alternative media, you have to link so-called legitimate sources, which are just mainstream reports, which we don't really trust, right? So in our own reporting, even if we write our own articles, you're still using sourced information from so-called trusted sources that we don't literally even trust. So it kind of defeats the purpose. Nothing, I guess, could be better than on-the-ground investigation, activism, camera in your own hands, unfiltered. That's the true essence of alternative media. And yeah, I think it does get lost, especially with the financial gains people have, the certain shock jocks that are out there, and not just, the top ones. There's other guys out there that are stirring up trouble in other places. So, I mean, this is something that you have to watch for. We don't know who these people work for, driving around with fancy equipment and RVs and stuff. It's like, Popeye, you've been doing this for a while, man. I don't know if you got that kind of equipment, bro.
Yeah, no. don't have any RVs loaded with satellite.
And we can leave it at that. We can leave it at that.
That's like X-Files stuff. Speaking of which, did you hear that the new X-Files is going to be based on conspiracy culture? Doesn't surprise me at all.
Well,
I'm a big fan.
Chris Carter's a big conspiracy buff, and apparently I know he's been interviewed by Jones before, but apparently he went to like a conspiracy convention or something to kind of get an idea of things. I think it's more, that's what he said in the interview, but I think it's more than that. I think he's more plugged in, and it was interesting because I saw the interview, or I read the interview, an article about the interview he did, and the guy actually quoted him. Whoever, I can't remember who interviewed him about the new show coming up, but the guy quoted him as saying that he believes a UN takeover is a legitimate concern. Like a one world government, new world order takeover is like a legitimate concern. He actually said that in the interview. He said he didn't believe 9/11 was actually anything weird like that, although apparently that's one of the big plots in the show is that it's chemtrails, 9/11, and the economic collapse and a few other things. Like
New World Order, right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, I have to mention, guys, I was driving home from work today, and I had the radio on, and it's either to work or on the way home, but they were talking about globalism and a global elite, and this isn't a mainstream local talk radio show, and before, they would never even talk about this or field questions, and they were having people call in about it. I was thinking about calling in, but obviously I wanted to rush home so I could make the show here. But I thought it was pretty interesting to see, like you mentioned, the whole box has been really pulled this way, and people are talking about these issues. And even Chris Carter and the X-Files and entertainment industry is starting to realize that there's a big market for this, even though they're trying to really silence this market. It
portrays
seems like
it as fantasy, though. When you
that's true.
Make a fantasy story out of things that are based in fact, the lines become blurred. I mean, that's what they're doing. And not that, Chris Carter's directly involved. He may or may not be. But, when you write these into, like, storylines of movies and sitcoms, TV shows, all this kind of stuff, people say, oh, well, you just heard about 9/11 on X-Files. That's the only reason you're looking into that. Well, actually, no. People have been looking into that for over 10 years now. It's not just some thing that they saw on X-Files.
Agreed. And there's also the Lone Gunman series, and I believe it was either Dean Haglund who was in the Lone Gunman series. He was I can't remember his character's name, but he had long blonde hair. It was either him or Chris Carter that admitted in an interview that they had people from the CIA come down and give them ideas for scripts and stuff like that. And don't be fooled. The Langley has their fingers involved in almost every TV show and movie that comes out. That stuff goes right through there, and they inject certain things into movies. They can edit stuff, they can add stuff, they can remove stuff. I wouldn't say maybe not every single movie, but I would say a large portion of it goes through, and a lot of the TV shows and stuff is actually, some of the scripts are actually written there.
It's free money, right, Popeye? They get paid to take this stuff.
Well, think about it. If you were going to produce something and they say, here's an entire series, an entire first season written for you already, it's social control. They understand that the media is the message, right? The medium is the message, so to speak. Actually, that's a great documentary. There's it's like a speech. It's not really a documentary. It's a video on YouTube. I think it's like a 45-minute long speech called "The Medium is the Message," and I can't remember the guy that released it, but look it up. They understand that using the TV is how they can create whatever they want through that. And same thing even with streaming video now or audio. And they understand that as long as they control the narrative, and they do so in a very clever way, they can subconsciously program the general public to think and act the way they see fit. Remember, it's not really how we see ourselves. We don't see ourselves in the way we really are. We see ourselves as these scumbags see us. Just remember that.
It's like we are being trained, so you don't know how else to have the experience. You don't know how else to view humanity. You don't know how to be a true being on Earth, because everything you do is through a filter. Because
or digital
even
online.
Your parents, even the people that raise you up, they're through the filter already. So you're always going to be, a little dirty. You're going to have a little bit of that corruption on you no matter what. That's a tough thing to break. I don't know how you go about changing that.
People have to change their perspective. They have to shift their perspective. That's why I speak about what I speak about. That's why I share the stuff that I share openly about what I've gone through, in hopes that people will see that, me going through it, okay, this guy's sharing it, this is real. Maybe if I apply a tenth of what, I've learned from him to my own life, things will be better, and it will. And then it'll just naturally, everybody will start to do that. If everybody applied this way of thinking, more personal responsibility, actually, how much they do affect the world around them and the people around them, and, looking at people in a different light and treating your fellow human as your fellow human and looking at everyone equal, and you know what I mean? And it's just a slight shift in perspective. That slight shift is what brings this whole thing crumbling down. Like David Icke has said, and they've put the meme out there where you see the pyramid and everybody's under the pyramid holding the pyramid up. We're the ones holding it up. Well, if we all shifted to the right and let go of the pyramid, it would come crumbling down. We don't need to support this system anymore that enslaves us on so many different levels. We don't need to. It's that simple. And it's a choice. It's a simple choice that we have to make. Like Bill Hicks said, it's a simple choice between fear and love. And I choose love. And living in that frequency and not living in fear changes your whole outlook on things.
Yeah, I would agree. I think I still struggle with that. I think I haven't bought into full love yet. I'm just saying. I'm being honest. You know what I mean? Even I can see it in my life because I still worry about these things that, aren't necessarily things that you need to even worry about. If you're bought into love fully, I think that you're kind of okay with life and what's happening around you.
You're a little blinded.
Well, you may be blinded, but you have to understand you're seeing life through a filter, right? So maybe all that stuff, maybe that's just an illusion. We don't even really know where we're at. And if we get all deep here tonight, I mean, that's what we're really looking at. How do you want to have this experience? You only have one life, so are you going to have this experience where you're a slave, or are you at least going to free your mind and show that to other people and allow them to free their minds as well? Because I think that's what's happening. It's a chain reaction. It kind of takes another human interaction to wake you up. Now, I'm sure people wake up from information, but the information had to come from somewhere. So whether it's a human-to-human interaction, some conversation, or a YouTube video or whatnot, it takes that spark of another person's creativity, I think, to get the ball rolling. And I think that's what happened to me, and I think that's what happened to a lot of individuals. You got to have that spark, and that's why guys like Popeye and Kristan and me are out there. It's like, we're just guys that are trying to give people that spark. We can't tell you what to believe, we can't tell you what to think, but we can give you that spark to make you think about things differently. I think that's the truest thing that we can do as people, that we are using this platform to provide that spark.
Agreed. That's our job. We're supposed to be the guides for everybody out there. I know people like to say, "Oh, leaders." No. I like to say guides. We're just helping people guide themselves down this dark section of the path right now.
We're like watchmen.
Yeah, people are followers. They're like sheeple. They follow, and some people need that.
Isn't this in a certain holy book? I'm not a holy person. I don't subscribe to any certain religion, but I'm pretty sure there was a certain passage about the Watchmen.
Well, like, what's that show? That one, I think it's on HBO. The one with Game of Thrones. They have the Watchmen on the wall. That's all we are really are guides. Like, everybody's in this dark tunnel of fear right now, and we're the guides. We're here to help humanity realize its own potential. The light that everybody sees at the end of the tunnel. First of all, we have to get people to realize there's a light at the end of the tunnel, because it's so scary and dark that people are just afraid that there's no power. There's no they're done. Oh my God, the boogeyman's going to get us. And that's the first step, getting them to see the light. But once they see the light, they also have to realize the second part of it, which is they are the light. They're the solution to the problems that we face, the scary stuff that we face every day. We are the solutions to it if we put our minds to it and we focus on it. You know, people say, well, then what's the solution to this? What's the solution to that? Well, we have to focus on each individual problem, but we don't. We end up focusing on fear, and we end up focusing on building like bombs and rockets and bullets that chase people around corners, but we don't try to solve disease or try to come up with a real world solution to poverty or homelessness or any of that stuff, which are actually real problems. And if we solved those real world problems, a lot of our other quote unquote problems would go away. But then so would a lot of control. So you see why the people that run things don't want you to know that or understand that? It's that simple. So it's just a simple shift in perspective. It's really that simple. I know I make it sound really simplified. It's harder to do. Look, I'm not going to try to.
It's hard to do. It's very hard to do.
Dude, I struggle with it every day. I'm human. Like I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I fall back into some old ruts sometimes with the way of thinking or a reaction.
But that's always there. It's like you always remember. Like, hold on. And I think for some people that part of it doesn't exist. At least with you, you're like, okay. You take that second thought, you're like...
You got a foundation.
Right. And I think some people just don't have that. They don't have that ability to say, hold on, and really analyze what's happening.
But that's probably because they don't have a frame of reference. I find that most of the time, the reason why... Sometimes it's other stuff, but and there's programming and stuff, but most of the time it's because people don't have a frame of reference for that. Because they've never been shown in their life, perhaps... that their true power is actually possible, because maybe they were brought up their whole life to look up to authority figures in one way, shape, or form, whether it was, the police, the teacher, whoever, government. And once people just shift their perspective a little bit and believe in themselves, they can look at all of this, with a fresh set of eyes. It's like putting on Rowdy Piper's sunglasses and they live. And then, it's not like that happens and then poof, all of humanity's problems end tomorrow. That's not how it works. We have to do this, step by step, item by item, issue by issue. But if you look at it with a different perspective, instead of the doomy fear, oh my God, all is lost perspective, and you look at it in the perspective of, well, this might suck, this might be a really bad situation, but we can figure something out. Let's focus on it. Let's put our smartest minds on this problem, whatever it may be. We can figure a solution out to it. If we look at it like that, if we look at it like there is no such thing as the Kobayashi Maru, there is no such thing as the unbeatable situation, then we're already it's like Sun Tzu said. He said, every battle is won before either side has entered the battlefield, meaning the combatants on either side have mentally made up in their minds whether or not they're gonna win, and that mostly subconsciously, without many of them even realizing it. If they start to buy into their fear at all in any way, shape, or form, and they don't master it, they could lose. They could lose the battle very easily, right? So, as Sun Tzu said, every battle is won before either side enters the battlefield. Well, think about that. Think about that. If you want to do something, if you want to like put something out there, change the world, however, and you go, but that'll never work, or people will never do that, because that's always what people say, right? We bring up
they stop themselves, right?
Well, it's a victim statement,
right? Well, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You're already you're making everything negative, so you're already setting the tone. Of course, it's not going to work. You've already decided in your head before you got to the battlefield that you were going to lose the battle, so that you could sit and be the victim and bemoan. Oh, you know what? No. Get out of that. Stop being the victim. Stop allowing yourself to feel like that or be victimized in any way, shape, or form. If that's the situation, step up to the plate and be the solution. It's that simple. And once you start looking at things in that aspect, and I mean everything, whether it's the real world, like in your personal life, or if you're an online activist or whatever, or a radio show host, you apply it to both, and you'll be surprised how different things. You got to change yourself first before you can change the world. Let's be clear. You have to change you. You have to be at peace within you in order to be able to put that positive energy out into the world, or else you're not going to be even vibrating at the right frequency.
It's so right. It's so crazy. We start talking about Facebook and bitching about Facebook bans, and then it gets into such a deep, real topic. It's so real, though. What Popeye's saying, it's so real, because it starts with my own experiences. What he's saying is true. If I'm not in it, mentally, if I have things going on in my life, it directly correlates to the output of the information. And it's like, if you're not on the right frequency, if you're not hitting on the right cylinders, then it's kind of screwing everything up, and you got to take that step back. And I think that's what's necessary. And maybe that's necessary for everyone, not just alternative media. I think people just got to take that step back and realize how fake it all is. You know, it's all really just fake, and enjoy the real things in your life, your family and your friends, and having a good time once in a while. Doesn't mean go spend all your money on lottery tickets thinking you're going to be the next Powerball
don't starve
winner.
yourself for a week, right? And your family to get Powerball tickets.
That's not necessary. I do want to end the show on a much lighter note. I was browsing the web and I found this interesting site that TFR listeners and Rundown Live listeners alike would enjoy going to. It's called lizardpeoplemeet.com. Have you guys gone to make your
negative
reptilian profiles today? Well, today you can meet single reptilians, and sure, you stole hundreds of human hearts, but isn't it time to let someone steal yours? With Lizard People Meet, you can connect with lizard people from all over the galaxy, from the comfort of your own home you recently invaded. Just whip out your comically oversized genitalia and start falling in love.
You know what's funny, Mike?
You can get on Lizard People Meet.
I heard an interesting fact today that the average person spends an hour a day on dating sites, but they only go on one date on average every 3 months. Shows you kind of how big of a...
They're always looking for somebody new. And look at, you can't select man or female because you're a lizard person, of course. So the only types you can choose are lizard person or Dick Cheney.
Oh,
and
really?
Listen, you can seek a human slave, you can seek another lizard person, or you can seek anyone who isn't Dick Cheney.
How bizarre. 128,000 likes on this website.
Can you drop the link?
Yes, it's Lizard People Meet. I'll put it on the screen for the people that will
Bigger
see it
lizard
on
people
YouTube.
profile today.
That looks like a wonderful lizard people couple with their tongues twisting there. So you guys have a good time on Lizard People Meet. Popeye, I appreciate it.
Even reptilians need a meetup spot, Mike. Thanks for having me on, guys.
No problem. We'll be in touch. Make sure you guys stay tuned. Truth Frequency Radio, Phoenix Rising's coming up next. We'll be back tomorrow, guys. Appreciate it, Popeye. You're the man.